I'm going to tell you something I've never said out loud before. Not to my daughter. Not to my son. Not even to my pastor. I have been carrying it for a long time now. And at 86 years old, I think it is finally time I put it down. I thought being busy made me a good mother. I really believed that. Every morning, I woke up before the sun. I made lunches. I drove the children to school. I went to work. Long hours. Important work, I told myself. I came home, made dinner, helped with homework, washed dishes, fell into bed. Then I did it all again the next day. I was busy. And I thought busy meant good. I thought the more I did, the more I was worth. As a mother. As a woman. As a person. I was wrong. Pause. But I didn't know I was wrong. Not then. I know it now. My daughter's name is Carol. She is 61 now. She lives about 3 hours away. We talk on the phone sometimes. Not as often as I would like. But when we do talk, she is kind to me. She is a good woman. A strong woman. But there is a distance between us that I cannot explain in words. It is not anger. It is not bitterness. It is just a space. A quiet emptiness where something should be. I noticed it for the first time when Carol was about 30 years old. She had just had her first baby, my first grandchild. And I flew out to see her. I walked into her house. I held that tiny baby. And Carol looked at me with this expression on her face that I will never forget. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Not a bad stranger. Not an enemy. Just someone she did not quite know. Someone who had shown up, well-meaning and loving, but a little too late. I smiled and I held the baby and I did not say anything. But inside, I felt something break. I thought about all the years I had been busy. All the evenings I had come home too tired to sit on the floor and play. All the weekends I had spent working extra hours so we could have a nicer house, a better car, good shoes for their school pictures. I thought I was building something for them. What I didn't understand then, what I understand now, is that children don't measure love in things. They measure love in time. In presence. In the feeling of being truly, deeply, unhurriedly seen. And I had been too busy to give them that. That is the hidden cost of busyness that nobody talks about. Not just the time you miss in the moment, but the relationship you fail to build. The closeness that never forms because you were always rushing to the next thing. The worst part? You don't see the bill until much, much later. Now I am not here to make you feel afraid. I am not here to scare you. I am here because I wish someone had sat me down, gently, when I was 34 years old and running around like the world would stop without me, and said, "Sweetheart, slow down. The clocks are ticking. Not one clock. 3. I call this the 3 clocks framework. I made it up myself. Not from any book. From my own life. From 86 years of watching and living and making mistakes and loving people imperfectly. The first clock is the childhood clock. Your children are only small for a very short time. You know this. Everyone tells you this. But you don't feel it, not really, until the clock has already run out. When my children were young, I thought I had all the time in the world. There would always be another bedtime, another Saturday morning, another summer. There wasn't. My son, David, loved trains when he was 5. He would line them up on the living room floor and make little sounds with his mouth, chugga chugga chugga, for hours. He wanted me to come sit with him, to play. I was always almost ready, always just finishing one more thing, always about to come. One day, the trains just disappeared into a box. And David never asked me to play trains again. The childhood clock doesn't warn you when it's running out. It just runs out. The second clock is the health clock. I worked hard my whole life. Physically hard. Emotionally hard. I pushed through exhaustion. I pushed through headaches and sore backs and sadness I didn't have time to feel. I told myself I was strong. I told myself rest was for lazy people. By the time I was in my 60s, my body had started to show all those years of neglect. High blood pressure. Aching joints. A tiredness so deep I couldn't sleep through it. The doctor told me to slow down. I finally listened. But by then, I had already spent most of my energy, the energy that could have gone into laughter and walks and long quiet evenings, and I'd spent it on urgency. On deadlines. On things that I cannot even remember now. Your health is not something you can earn back later. You cannot work hard now and rest later and expect your body to be the same. The health clock does not stop ticking just because you are busy. You have to rest now. Not someday. Now. The third clock is the money clock. Now, I know what you're thinking. But I'm working hard because of money. And I understand that. I truly do. Money is real. Bills are real. Fear is real. But let me tell you what I learned the hard way about money and time. When my children were young, I worked extra to buy them things. Good things. A bicycle. Nice clothes. A bedroom set. And those things were not bad. But what I did not understand then is that the money I was chasing came with a hidden price tag. Every extra hour I worked cost me an hour at home. And every hour at home I missed cost me something I can never buy back. Now, I am not saying don't work. Please, work. Provide for your family. Take care of your needs. That is important and right. But I am saying, look at the full price of what you are buying. If extra work buys a nicer vacation but costs you the daily moments of being present, the cost may be higher than you think. The money clock is different from the other two. It can be refilled, somewhat. You can earn more money. You can save. You can recover from a bad financial year. But you cannot go back in time. The hour you spend away from your 5-year-old tonight, that hour is gone forever. Even if you become a millionaire. That is what I wish someone had told me. Let me be very practical with you for a moment. Because I think sometimes we need to hear things plainly. When I was 45, I was making decent money. Not a lot, but enough. And I was spending a great deal of it on things I thought would make our family life better. Convenience foods because I was too tired to cook properly. A gym membership I never used because I never had time. Doctor's appointments I kept postponing because I was too busy. Medications I eventually needed because I had ignored my health for so long. The money I was earning, some of it was being immediately spent on the consequences of being too busy. Does that make sense? The busyness that was supposed to build wealth was actually creating a slow leak. Stress-related health costs. Rushed decisions.
Emotional eating. The small luxuries I bought myself to cope with a life that felt like it was always going too fast. I was on a treadmill, working to afford the things I needed because I was working too hard. I see this in younger women today and my heart hurts for them because I know exactly where that road leads. And the health cost, oh, my dear, the health cost is not always dramatic. It is not always a heart attack at 50. Sometimes it is quieter than that. It is the chronic exhaustion that becomes your normal. It is the anxiety you learn to live with. It is the tension headaches, the stiff shoulders, the way you haven't laughed from your belly in so long you've forgotten what it feels like. That is the price of chronic busyness. And I paid it. I paid it for decades. By the time I finally slowed down, really slowed down, I was in my early 70s. My husband had passed. My children were grown and living their own lives. And I had a lot of quiet around me. A lot of time to sit and think. That is when the regret came. Not a crushing regret. Not a bitterness. Just a soft, aching awareness of what I had missed. What I had traded. What I would do differently if I could go back. I want to speak now directly to the young mothers watching this. The ones who are tired right now. Who woke up this morning already behind. Who are trying to be good at everything, at their job, at their home, at their marriage, at being a mother, and who feel like they are failing at all of it, all at once. I see you. And I want to tell you something with all the love I have in this old heart. You are not failing. You are doing too much. Those are different things. Failing means you are not trying. You, my dear, are trying with everything you have. You are trying so hard that you are breaking yourself open just to keep going. That is not failure. But it is also not sustainable. And it is not the only way. Here is what I know now that I did not know then. Your presence is more valuable than your productivity. Your children do not need a spotless house. They need you. Not a tired, distracted, checked out version of you who is physically present but mentally somewhere else. They need your eyes. Your attention. Your full, unhurried, loving presence, even if it is only for 20 minutes a day. 20 real minutes is worth more than a whole evening of sitting in the same room while you scroll through your phone. I know that is hard to hear. Because we live in a world that rewards doing, not being. A world that counts output, not love. A world that will never send you an award for sitting on the floor and listening to your child tell you about their imaginary friend. But your child will remember it. Even if they can't say why. Even if they grow up and forget the details, they will carry in their body the feeling of having been truly heard. Or they will carry the absence of it. I carried the absence of it as a child. And then I passed it on to my own children without meaning to. That is how these things travel, quietly, through generations, until someone finally stops and says, "This ends with me." Rest is not a reward. Rest is a requirement. This one took me a very long time to learn. I thought rest was something you earned. You worked hard, and then, someday, you rested. But rest doesn't work that way. Rest is not a destination. It is medicine. And like medicine, if you skip your doses for too long, you get very, very sick. Your body needs sleep. Real sleep. Not just enough to function. Your mind needs quiet. Not entertainment. Not another podcast, another scroll, another thing to consume. Actual quiet. Space to breathe. Space to think. Space to feel whatever you've been too busy to feel. Your heart needs connection. Real connection. With your children, yes. But also with yourself. With your own joy. With whatever it is that makes you feel alive and not just useful. Please don't wait until you're 86 to give yourself permission to rest. Money is a tool, not a measure of your worth. I spent so many years believing that if I just earned a little more, things would be better. More secure. More settled. And while money does matter, I am not here to pretend it doesn't. I want to gently offer you this. Enough is enough. There is a point, and only you know where it is for your own family, where more stops adding to your life and starts subtracting from it. More income that requires more hours, that costs more presence, that creates more distance. That is not a trade worth making. Sit down sometime, maybe this weekend, and ask yourself, what is this for? What am I building? What kind of life am I trying to create? And am I actually living it, or am I always preparing to live it someday? Because someday has a way of never arriving. If I could write a letter to my younger self, to the 34-year-old version of me, standing in my kitchen at 6 in the morning, already exhausted, already behind, this is what I would say. You are doing so well. You are so strong. And you are allowed to put some of it down. The dishes will wait. The report can be finished tomorrow. The call can be returned later. But your daughter is standing at the door of the kitchen right now, holding a drawing she made for you. She wants to show it to you. She wants to see your face when you look at it. Put down the coffee. Look at the drawing. Really look at it. Tell her it's beautiful. Tell her you love her. Sit on the floor with her, just for a minute. Just for a minute. Because one day, a very long time from now, you will be old and quiet and full of love with nowhere to put it. And you will think back to this morning. And you will wish so much that you had looked at the drawing. Look at the drawing. That's all I have for you today. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an expert. I'm just an old woman who lived a full life and learned some things the slow, hard way. If even one thing I said today helps you pause, helps you breathe, helps you choose presence over productivity, just for one evening, just for one small moment. Then I'm glad I told you. Take care of yourself. Take care of your children. And please, please don't wait until you're 86 to slow down. What would you go back and tell your younger self? Comment prompt: drop one thing below you wish someone had told you earlier.